the startups and also the SME. So in this panel, this is the good combination of our panel. We have the startups, SMEs, and also we have the policy maker here. Let me introduce our panelists from the left to the right. Yeah, for the first panelist, I look at his CV and he's like good combination of everything. So academia, private sector, and now the policy maker. He was the faculty member of Faculty of Commerce and Accountancy, Chulalongkorn University. He worked in the Stock Exchange of Thailand, and now he's the Vice Minister of Industry. I would like to welcome His Excellency Dr. Santi Kiranan. Next to Dr. Santi, the representative from Myanmar. He has been involved in the state-owned enterprise on the paper and chemical industry for since 1999, almost 20 years ago. And he's the Director General of the Directorate of Industrial Corporation. Please welcome Dr. Sonia. Soyang, Dr. Soyang, Dr. Sonia and Soyang. Yeah. And next panelist, I know him for quite a long time. Yeah, more than 10 years. His work in the 90s, he worked with the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry in Lao PDR. And he has a lot of involvement in the business association in Lao PDR. For example, Lao Hotel and Restaurant Association. He represents Lao PDR in the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, and he's the Secretary General of the GMS Business Council. And please welcome the President of Lao National Commerce and Industry, Mr. Udet Suwani. The one and the only lady in this panel. Yeah. She's a lawyer by training. In her CV, she said she has 22 years experience working. It's difficult to believe that. Yeah, she has various experience in many fields like marketing, providing the consultancy services, and he has a strong experience in startup the new company. He started furniture factory in Vietnam and with the foreign investor, and then this is produced the furniture to export to Europe and the US. He started the property brokerage company, and also she developed the news product like cloud application for Oracle, and now she is with the Grab Vietnam. Please welcome Miss Nguyen Van An, country head of Grab for Business and Grab Vietnam. Our next panelist, he has the finance background, and then he turned himself to be the environmentalist. Right? Yeah. In 2014, he went to Siem Reap and he got struck by a lot of the plastic waste, and this is the motivation for him to start his own social enterprise, and he introduced the biodegradable bags that made from cassava, and he also very active in promoting the environment education in Phnom Penh and in Siem Reap. Now he's the founder of the Clean Bodia in Cambodia. Please welcome Mr. Kai Kamamoto. Our next panelist, I'm very familiar with his business. Back in the past when I was in school, yeah, I bought a lot of things from his family business, which is called Somjai. They sell the stationery. Yeah, and I still the customer of Somjai, but never been the Somjai online, never been the customer of Somjai online. He has the background, education background in marketing, yeah, and business administration. He started Somjai online, which is the family business, for 2 years already. So please welcome the co-founder of Somjai online, Mr. Vitvin Vityanon. Last but not least, he has more than 3 years experience in the web development. He created the real-time application management system, robot content, e-commerce, customer relation interface, and he adopted the various web technology for his creation. Now he is the CEO of the ShipBob Thailand, which is the logistic company. And please welcome Mr. Sutikian Chan Thara Chairod. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the program, okay, I want to adjust the sequence a little bit. I would like to adjust the sequence of the speakers a little bit. So we want to hear the voice from the private sector first, and then we will get response and from the policy makers on their request. Yeah, you will say yes or you say no. Or I told our Thai colleagues that this is the good time, the good opportunity to request. Yeah, we will start with the private sector first, and then we go for move backward from Kun Sutikian, and then to Kun Vitvin, and next to the panelists like this. So let's start with the private sector, with Kun Sutikian. So the question from the private sector that I would like to ask is that what is the motivation to set up your company, and what is your challenges and opportunity, and also have you ever get the support from the government, and if you want that more support, what kind of support that you needed? So the big man is here, so
Okay.
please go ahead. The floor is yours, Kun Sutikian.
Okay. Nice to meet you all guys. Yes. So you can call me Moshi. I'm just 26 years old. So I'm developer on my background is a developer e-commerce website, more than 100 websites already since 8 years ago. We try to do for the SME, and after we do the website, we see the problem of the SME. They have a payment problems, they have a logistic problem. But in Thailand, no one do the logistic. Everyone do the payment gateway, but no one do shipping gateway. Never have before. That's why I started ShipBob. We want to help the SME to send the parcel simple and easy. Okay. Right now, do you know how many parcel per day in Thailand? Very, very famous. 8 million parcel per day in Thailand. So big opportunity. And that's the logistic company in Thailand too much. From like Thailand Post, Curry, DHL, ACG Express, Yamato. From China, like Flat Express. From Korea, CJ. From Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos also have too. Many logistics come to Thailand for they want to give the parcel. And when you want to use the shipping, you compare price of different carrier. They like label by themselves, and you tracking. Everything is manually. That's why you lose your time and your cost. The ShipBox, we will help them for find who is the best service, who is the best price. And we connect also, we have API for connect with a marketplace like Tala.com and the big marketplace in the Thailand too. But right now, what we see the problem of e-commerce campaign and why they start, they have a problem like when they want to sell in another province, not in the Bangkok and greater, no internet access. I mean, it's like I be some people I want to use buy something. I don't know how to buy. I don't know how to order, how to payment. Okay, if you be order some home, you just command you keep something like that, or the order the online payment. That's why I think it would be better if we have a free internet for everyone. Okay, and the next talk about if you be the SME, you should be focused on the localized market first for send your product, and after localized we need the cross-border shipping. I get something from I know from something from the Malaysia digital free trade zone. I think it's a better way for health e-commerce to do the cross-border. Okay. And then, but actually when I started startup in Thailand, I got a support from a lot of from government. Like the last year, I winner of the government saving bank GSB. I got a reward because I pitching. Okay, and from NIA, from like a startup voucher. I think it's the good. I think it's the good chance for startup because the government invest on the marketing, invest on the seed round, something like that.
What more that you need from the government and in doing business like in a like shop pop like this? So do you face any challenges in like in the market or with the customer?
I think I think more is like I need the government support for the like matching from SME to use the digital technology with the startup and for transformation business for SME. Okay, and some event, some workshop for teach SME to use the technology to improve their business. Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. So it's for the, I mean, if the e-commerce to grown up, so logistics company is quite important because it have to grow along with the e-commerce, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because we need the logistics company to deliver the products from door to door.
Yes.
And then Chop Pop can help. Chip Pop, sorry. Yeah, now Chip Pop, sorry. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you very much, Kun Moshi, and I'd like to hear from Kun Vitwin from Somchai Online about his experience and also the challenges.
Thank you for having me today, and good morning, everyone. As some of you may already know, Somchai has been established for about 62 years already, but we saw a lot of potential in the online market in Thailand, especially for stationeries and art supplies, because there are many people contacting us from the rural area that hey, they want to buy like this kind of pen that can only be found in Bangkok or in other big cities, but then they cannot get it. So we realized that okay, maybe we need to set up the online website because in our website, if you go visit our website, you will see that we have many items that cannot be found anywhere in any other major websites. As some of you know, like can I say the name? Like COL from Central Online. They have major things, but not particular things like in our website. But again, we encounter many problems with the potential customers just as Kun Ticket said, many people didn't have the access to internet. Many people did not know how to use the online banking, how to pay for the goods online. So we try to ask our delivery companies to collect the money upfront. But again, still many people don't trust the system. They're not sure if they order the products online, they will get it for sure or not. We trick them or something like that. So I think it's important if everyone in Thailand, combining especially private sector and the government, try to promote more about online shopping, about online payment to the rural people. They have the money to buy the things, but they just don't have the chance to use those money. Yeah. And we are still in the trial and error process. If I think because we don't have like a strong back office team, so our website fails sometimes. I mean the system, the back office system, and but we are trying to make our website better, and we hope that we will get more market share in Thailand. And we will be able to make Thai people get more access to unique art supplies or unique stationeries. Actually, one of my goal is to make Thai art industries become blooming more than before. As many of you may know, art industry is growing pretty nicely. But what we need to do is we need to distribute more art supplies to the people all over the country, and that will even add value to Thai products, to like auto products, to the local artists. If they get more materials, it doesn't have to be expensive. Just cheap material like acrylic color or watercolor or paintbrush. If they can get a hold of those things, I'm sure the art industry in Thailand will become really, really big, and it will increase the potential for our country to sell more things around the world. Something like that.
So far, you have any challenge because you expand the family business. So that means you have to discuss a lot with your father or your parents' generation. And is that the challenge at the beginning before you start the Somchai online?
Yes, that's a big challenge because we did not have any particular person to work in the online field. So we had to set up a team, and as I mentioned before, we failed many times until we can find the right people to join our team. Even still now, we are still finding more people to join our team to make our online website happen. Yeah, and but for my parents, they understand very well, and we share the same opinion. We see the same goal that okay, we need to expand our online market. Yeah, so it's not really a big deal.
ขอบคุณมากครับ Thank you very much, and we will come back to you later on the some question from the audience, because for me, as I told you that I'm a customer of Somchai, but not online. So whatever you want to get, like stationeries, the brush, the paint, the acrylic paints, or the canvas board, then I go to Somchai. Yeah, so that's why I'm familiar a lot with Somchai. Yeah, the next in the panelist, Mr. Namoto. Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, that he's now the environmentalist and he's the founder of Clean Cambodia. And I really want to see you. Have you bring your example of the plastic, the biodegradation plastic back to show the audience?
I do have it down.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we really want to see it.
I have in fact, if you want, like I have one for everybody. They want one, so you can come see me at the end.
Please kind the same question. Your challenge and opportunities, and what kind of supports that you receive from the government, and if you need more support, what would be the next kind of support?
The quick answer is yes, we need more support. I think we all will agree to that on this side of the panel. As you said, I now in Cambodia, the big problem with plastic bags, like many of the regions here and around the world. In fact, Cambodians are using about 50 plastic bags per person each week, which is about 5 times as much as as the rest of the world. Unfortunately, I don't think it's too much better in that. It's much better in Thailand or Myanmar or Vietnam, and this is an important region as much of the plastic gets pushed down the Mekong River, and we all know how important the Mekong is to this region. So, in starting Cambodia, I just realized that there needed to be an alternative solution to plastic bags. One thing the governments you can see around the world are starting to do is start to put bans on plastic bags, on importing plastic bags, putting taxes on plastic bags, and that's great first step. But some of the problems with that is that there's no real clear plan on what's going to happen after you do that. So many people rely on plastic bags for small vendors, for markets. How do you replace that? So one area that needs to be addressed is an alternative solution. It's not going to be the end all to stopping plastic pollution, but it's going to be a good first step to make people realize that there is an issue and that we have opportunities to not use a non-renewable resource such as gas or oil to make something that's going to last in our environment for not just generations but hundreds of thousands of years. So that's why we sell biodegradable bags made with cassava. Cassava is as many people in the region know, it's grown throughout Southeast Asia. And one reason we did that is because it is local. Again, being environmentalists, we need to make sure that the things we're using aren't traveling from halfway around the world and causing more greenhouse gases and kind of offsetting what we're trying to do with the environment. So some of my challenges are actually within Cambodia are kind of twofold. One is providing an education and providing a platform to have people change behaviors. As I mentioned before, markets and vendors rely so much on plastic. How do we change their mindset and to say, why don't we use less or why don't we use something else? And that can be a difficult conversation with people, especially when in a developing economy where many people are working to put food on the table for tomorrow. It's not fair to bring in a product such as ours that costs twice as much as a normal plastic bag to take food off their table to make them more environmental. So one challenge that we have is to how to integrate our bags into the mass of people. That's one area that government could help subsidize or otherwise help get our bags or whatever alternative into people's hands. And the other side, kind of going back to the digital transformation, what we're talking about here is that I'm coming kind of from a traditional business of distributing and selling these bags, but I'm kind of a personal vendetta of trying to make sure that Cambodians are getting up to speed with technology. As I've seen in some of the other panels yesterday, that Cambodians have 50% of Cambodians have smartphones. So that's a large population. That's way bigger than I would have thought it was. So they have the ability to reach the world, to reach the internet, to do these things. Yet oftentimes they're only using them for Facebook selfies and to make phone calls. So now they're using their true capabilities. So what we try to do is really try to force people to use our platform to see what environmental things are out there, to use our products, and to purchase our products and to receive them like that through a virtual world.
And, any support? Yeah, the government support.
Yeah, we're in this startup and SME side, I'm definitely the smallest here, and in Cambodia, I think we have a lot of small startups that I work with and regularly communicate with. I think one of the challenges for a lot of them, and particularly in Cambodia, is it's a small market. So a lot of the startups that are happening are on a much smaller scale than in many other countries. Vietnam, it's 90 million, or Thailand with 50 or 60 million people. We only have 15 million people. So sometimes these startups, they're not looking to be as big as investors want them to be. And while there have been more opportunities brought by the government to finance startups, I often see and have conversations with people that they're not looking, they don't have a plan to need $500,000 or $100,000. They're looking for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to get a small idea off the ground. And I think it's important to have government help in those smaller cases because it allows people, entrepreneurs, to try and to fail fast and start over again. It also creates a culture within communities and within the region that governments can support innovation and startups. And I think that's one area that if I could, my main focus would say, yeah, that finding a way to help finance these at a much earlier stage, possibly being education and providing a centralized area where students can go and just mess around and make stuff up and see what happens and not have the pressure of answering to investors and all that.
And how you see the sale of the company grow during the past 2 or 3 years? Because to have the new innovative bag that made from cassava, which is biodegradable. It's very difficult to pronounce. Yeah, biodegradable bags. Yeah, and this is the new thing for consumer, right? Yeah. And how you see it, how you change. I mean, it's quite difficult to change the attitude of the consumer, right? I mean, to build something is easier than changing the attitude of people because you have to take a long time to change people's attitude.
Yeah, and we work with a lot of different NGOs and other social enterprises that are trying to change that behavior. We've been fortunate enough to, I'm still here after 2.5 years, so we have been growing slightly, and that's it's kind of twofold. We've grown obviously domestically in Cambodia through word of mouth and through free tools on the internet. We're not paying for anything, so it's like in digital transformation. One way we're reaching a wider audience and at very little, no dollar cost, maybe some time cost. But that's really important to understand how to use that correctly. But beyond that, we've actually, because I've tried to force people online to use our website, we've made a global presence on accident. It was never my intention to gain attraction from all over the world, but we get inquiries from, probably in the last 6 months, from 100 different countries around the world wanting this product. So it's spreading, it's growing. Environmentalists are coming out, and people are recognizing that they need to be more cautious of what they're doing to affect the future and future generations. But the tech wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the capabilities of having the internet in Cambodia and having it reliable and having an opportunity to put something out online and access those customers.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to you later. So our next panelist, of course, the one and the only. Yeah, I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Nguyen Hoa An. Yeah, for tell us your experience and challenges. Yeah, please.
Okay.
Your experience first on the going online, the digital transformation and.
Okay. So first, I would like to say thank you very much for Ministry of Commerce giving me the opportunity today to share with you about my experience. Can you come back with your questions? He wants to know about the benefit and the challenge of the technology transformations for the startup. Okay, I think that for all the business, as a business owner, people will try to hit some key objective, like the first, that is profit, the second, that is the market share, and the last thing, people will looking to growing the business globally. So we are coming today in order to discuss about how digital technology help us in bring the benefits to us. I can share the experience that I had 3 key proven KPIs benefits which digital technology help startup. The first is technology help us to redefine the business model which we are doing. So you can see that with technology we can redefine the business process, the way we are making product, the way we sell product, the way we serve client, etc. So it's very important to use technology to redefine the business. That is the first business, that is the first benefit. And the second thing is with technology we can help to reduce the cost. Alright, when we disrupt ourselves, we always think how to deliver the same or the better value to client, but with the lower cost is also very important because with lower cost we will acquire client faster, and client will accept or connect with us to buy our service with a number of transactions bigger. That is the second benefit. And the third benefit is technology will help us to leverage the value of the assets which we are unutilized is effectively. Okay, you can see that in today sharing economic model. We leverage the assets of the car, we leverage the assets as the house. That's why we have a Grab, Uber, we have Airbnb, and we have a co-working model like WeWork. Okay, so the new concept is people leverage the assets, okay, to make more money. So believe that technology helps us a lot, but with my proven experience with a startup, and some startup is successful, I see that is a key benefit which technology can help us.
And about the support from the government in the past, in your past experience, that what the Vietnamese government provide a lot of support, or what kind of the obstacle that you have to face in terms of rules and regulation in your own country?
Yes, okay. I think that with the new business model, actually the business is always growing fast and create a lot of initiative which the rule and regulation most of the time is behind. Okay, so I think that most of the policymakers here also agree. Yes, so but that is a very natural thing everywhere in the world. Alright, and Vietnam is one of the places like this. Alright, but as a business owner, we cannot wait the policymaker create enough rule and regulation. Okay, the role of the business owner is serving client, create the new product, new service, bring more on new customer experience. So we hit this goal. Alright, and after that we will create some look like pressures to the policymaker, because policymaker also need to hit the goal that we need to make the business much more modernized. Alright, hold the country more efficiency. Okay, yeah. So in this way, business owner and policymaker will sit down together, support each other, and we share the voice and we find the common goal. Alright, and that's why we always have two parallel team. Okay, okay. So And I think that as a startup, we always expect that a policymaker support in terms of policy, in terms of financial, in terms of system, in terms of technology. Actually, we need a lot of things, right? So I share the common expectation. Yeah. Okay, one or two priorities.
Let me echo your question again because you don't have the microphone. The Director General asked about the priorities of the that what she wants. Yeah, please.
Okay, so priority. Okay, I think that today, in order to have more money, is very easy because a lot of private fund, all right, willing to invest money. Okay, so from my experience, money is not the top priority to talk with the policymaker. Actually, we need policymaker adapt with the new trend, with the new business trend. Okay, obviously, policy need to change, and in order to have a new policy, the policymaker need to be changed first. So, yeah.
Hopefully, just change the mindset, not change the person.
So thanks a lot for your clarification.
Good. Yeah. We have very interactive session now. Yeah. Okay. Now we will come back to you later on, and the next panelist is Mr. Udet Suwarnawong, and he will give us the information about the situation in Laos. Yeah. And please, Mr. Udet, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Vachara. I think I have a small presentation to show you the ecosystem for the startup in Laos. I think it's on. Oops. I'm a businessman. I have many companies, but all are very small companies, not big companies. And for telling you that I closed almost 2 companies and built 3 companies almost every 3 years, and in the family company or with friends. So many of you have seen these slides. It shows that we are now today, due to the technology, in the 4th revolution. And if you are not linked to the technology, you are going to lose no benefit. You are going to be overtaken by somebody else. And the digital transformation is the key of the adaptation of the companies into the world business. I think this morning I listened to the lecture of the gentleman from India. It's very clear that we have, all of us, businessmen, government, to change our mindset and to go toward the technology. Today, it's not the big fish eating the small fish, but it is the fast fish eating the small and big fish. So you can be very fast, and you can, if you are fast, you can go to, it takes you also a larger scale. You can cross the river Mekong to operate in Thailand easily. The example of the Indian expert said it took McDonald's 19 years to go to Canada. Now it took only 1 year for some of the companies to go to 25, 80 countries now. So the SME and startup are linked now in the new era because every country are based on SME. In Laos, SME represent 98% of the companies. And in the 98%, 80% are in the non-formal sector. So we are not really fully registered. We are not paying the correct tax system. And state-owned company, we don't have so many in Laos also. And international or multinational company, almost 5% are there. So the the ecosystem for startup is really needed for Laos. Startup started in the third revolution. During the time of Microsoft, Apple, you heard about that. It started already from the third revolution, and all startup was in the Silicon Valley, in the US. But now, the startup, due to the new technology, is everywhere. You can start up in Bangkok, you can start up in Nong Khai, you can start up in Vientiane or in Hanoi. So it is important that startup. So what startup do and is that it engage new technology. For me, this is one of the quote from my colleague. Engage no technology. It reduce the challenges and incorporate the SME or the industry to adapt to the new technology. And then it also adopt the people to the new technologies, that adopt people to the environment, change of environment. It solves the problem in a large scale. It replicates also easily and fast, and also it creates the economic growth. And this is a tool for growing the SMEs. So startup is needed for growing. And in Laos, we have a number of startups already starting to be in many fields. We have delivery boys. You can order pizza, and you have one delivery going to pick the pizza, pay the boy, and after that, you have many things. You have starting to have many facilities on e-commerce and also developed. So, how is the startup ecosystem in Laos? You have the government, of course, and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry that are the main pioneers, and the Ministry of Science and Technology for the e-commerce startup. But there are also the other ministries like Finance, Bank of Laopedia, and Ministry of Transport, Communication, and Agriculture involved. But you have also some forum, regional forum, which help the startup, like you know about the Mekong Peace Forum also, the Mekong Business Forum, who supported by the ASEAN Development Bank, who help starting up and networking the startup between the Mekong countries. And you have some private companies like Dolao and the digital company who are also supporting startup and also having co-working space for startup. And we have also our Chamber of Commerce, we have in an SME center who is providing co-working space and also angel funding. We have established our own angel funding to provide fund to the startups. So, and a number of supporters like the American funds, Australian, and the ADB. So, if you compare with the ecosystem in Laopedia with the ecosystem in Thailand and in Vietnam, it is very limited. It's very small. I have another chart for Thailand. You have many people involved into the startup ecosystem, including many banks like the Kung Thai Bank this morning, K Bank, all the banks are involved in the startup. But in Laos, only one bank, very few financial institutions. So, so what we do is that activity for startup only is changing the mindset. So we have seminar, we have conference like today's conference. We have also activating many of the co-working space and workshops. We have from Thailand, experience from Thailand, experience from Vietnam. We also join many workshops to encourage the people to use, to start up companies. So, what are the constraints? This is the most important. I think you have already highlighted some, but it's a low level of knowledge and awareness about startups. And we don't know what is startup. You go to one ministry or somebody, you have different definition of startup. In fact, it is starting up a company or starting up something, but still, it's like my dear lady here, she said it's about the company. It's not about the startup, it's about our company, how to survive, or how to make profit, or how to scale up our activity. We have also, the problem is that SME in Laos is a lot, but we have a very low capacity. So it's also, when it's a low capacity, and when the business environment is not good, the startup also has low capacity. Startup also has to go with the SME help. If the SME are healthy, you have more startup coming up, more idea, more innovation coming up. And we have also limited access to finance over there. We don't have enough access, because in the problem in Laos is because when it's new, no banks want to lend to SME because the risk is too high. We don't have even no credit guarantee system in Laos. So it doesn't really solve the ecosystem. And of course, the law, the regulation are not there. Internet is taxed as a luxury item in Laos. So we have 5% extra on internet. And the thing is that many laws is still based on the old conventional system, the linear system, not the multilinear system. So we need to change the law in Laos. We need to really reform the whole thing. So it will also support e-commerce, support e-finance, the whole digital transformation. So this is one reason why we are not really in advance. We also have limited infrastructure, including the soft infrastructure. If you talk about internet in Laos, it's very slow. Mobile access also. You see the difference in the presentation this morning. The Laos is the lowest capacity compared with the all CLMVT countries. And we have the large access to mobile, but the access to mobile is very expensive. So this is the limited soft infrastructure, so we have to do. I have also, the government also have a big vision. They want to do good things also, the new government in Laos, that they see that because of the SME structure of Laos, startups should be taken very seriously, and then because it opens opportunity and also will link Laos with the rest of the world. So the wish list, this is from the government to start up, to make a startup a national agenda, like Vietnam, India, and Thailand. And to reform the laws, to invest in infrastructure, and to get the education system related to startup, and to get a budget to promote the startup from the government. So that is the government statement I'm putting to you. So there is also the area. We are talking a lot about e-commerce, but what is lagging behind is in Laos is finance, fintech. We don't have education, agri-tech, in tourism also, which is a lot of possibility for startup. Healthcare, manufacturing, and handicraft. That are the area where you can all develop a system, solutions, and also be the starting up. So I am also having a proposal for the CLMVT. Also, it also goes with the rest, GMS or ASEAN, is that the startup ecosystem and in Thai and Vietnam are well advanced. I think still very well advanced. But compare with the CLM, but there are many success stories as well in Thai and Vietnam that can be replicated into those three countries. And a number of startups are catching up also in Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. So that is a good sign already that the ecosystem is getting better, not deteriorating. Technology infrastructure, including soft infrastructure, are lagging behind. In fact, if you see Singapore, if you see China, India, or Europe, USA, I think the startup developers, especially in high technology, they will go to Singapore because it's cheaper, you have more facility. After that, they will move to the US. Yeah, the example of Grab also. They are from Malaysia, and they went to Singapore and they become big, and they will not have been able to do that if they were in Malaysia. That is to see that the ecosystem is very important. So we have to develop our own best ecosystem in CLMVT, and this is one point. So the thing that I propose that we have to have an exchange of policy and regulatory framework, development of startup promotion, and also including the SME promotion. I think we have to take place on the model of Thailand or Vietnam, or take the good model. And I think in the GMS we are talking about the model of China. China is one of the best models you can develop. But they want to be inside their country because we have enough market already. So, and we need to enhance the existing ASEAN and GMS startup network and create special node network under CLMVT. You know, when you have also an ASEAN startup network, we have to develop that, but have a special program for CLMVT, selecting the possibility of some, some key elements. For example, if you want to go to deliver to Vientiane, it's easy for Somchai to go there. And you can make a CLMVT project and having both government to help to be able to supply and pay the suppliers through certain solutions. So I still think that we need to have a joint promotion in technology infrastructure, especially in fintech, and to create the ecosystem, to be like Singapore, to be having the same ecosystem like Singapore. So that is what I recommend from this. So this is ending my very long presentation. I think that if you have anything, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Udek, for your situation analysis and also the suggestion. The fundamental problems that we heard from all the private sector, that's like the infrastructure constraint, the access to the internet of the people in the country is not enough, especially the provincial area. So this problem has to be addressed. So for the digital transformation for the SME or startup to gain the more productivity and benefit from the digital transformation. So the fundamental infrastructure on internet have to be ready in the remote area. And another problem is the access to finance. This is the fundamental difficulties for all the SMEs and startup. And as you mentioned that for the commercial bank point of view, also it's quite risky to provide loan to the new and startup. So the government should have some mechanism to help the startup. And it's good that you mentioned about the big fish, small fish, and fast fish. And then the outlook next to panelists is from the policy maker, because when we talk about big fish, small fish, I mean, if the business environment is good, big fish can eat small fish, or fast fish can eat slow fish. But if the business environment is not good, fast fish, big fish, small fish, slow fish, all of them will die. Yeah, so for the policy makers, they are the one who create the better environment for business, so that the big fish, small fish, slow fish, whatever fish can survive. So I will give the floor to yes.
I have one question for Mr. Udet, and maybe the next speakers can also share this. It's always at the back of my mind, because in Thailand, when my office, we started consulting startup and SMEs to see that what kind of capacity building they actually need. One thing that I heard and it stays with me for a long time is that many SMEs are not happy with the government trying to promote startup, because SMEs they are not all SMEs are startup, and they have different needs, and SMEs have been here longer than startup. Why don't the government try to promote SME more? A startup has a low survival rate. Existing SMEs should get more priority. But okay, I don't want to get into the question of what is more important, SME or startup. My question is that if you can let me share with me a few points on your experience that capacity building for SME and startup. Do they have to be different? Do they need the same thing? Or is there anything that we can do to distinguish between the SME and the startup? Because they are different group of fish. SMEs are fish that's already in the pond. Startup are the new fish. They might be small too. But so what can we do? Do they have to be different kind of help?
Madam Director, I think as in my presentation in the beginning, I said startup is a tool for the promotion of SME. So maybe it's a misconception of it, that when you say startup, it means that when you create an environment, an ecosystem for startup, it means that one person still in university, he has a good idea. He wants to develop, but he don't know where to go, where to have his idea to be developed. He don't know how to get the money to develop his idea. He don't know how to prefabricate his tool or his innovation tool. This is the startup. So when he got those, he will create a new company. And the new company means a new SME. If you start with SME, I think you take the story of all the big companies like Microsoft or Tesla also is a very good example. They start very small. Even they didn't have things to eat in the beginning because they take all their money into the business and so on. And after that, because of the ecosystem, the government help them to develop their idea, get innovation and so on. And then this is the tool. In our Chamber of Commerce, we start to have, to try to get the people to think about the business. Because in Laos, everybody wants to work with for the government. And all the parents want their children to go to university. But nobody thinks about developing business. So that is a very good initiative. I think I will contest the part of some of the SMEs, but it's good for them if they want to innovate. I think for me, I have 5 companies that are all SMEs in all diversification we can have. But we need all the time to innovate. So startup will be the one.
Yes, please.
Okay, following the discussion, I would like to add some experience information. The first, I think that the definitions of SME and startup from my experience, most of startup is SME because we start from 10, 20 or 50 people is the maximum. However, not all startup or all SME can become the enterprise or big company. But I think that the dream of the all SME and startup is to become the big enterprise. Okay. And the second, as you said that SME and startup is the two kind of fish. Yes, I agree. It has some common criteria, but something differentiation. But the question is, as you said, maybe now the trend of the business trend in all the country is to promote startup. So SME will feel that and they are not happy. So the point is, you need to think disrupt or to be disrupted. So that's simple. Yes.
Thank you. Good. So, yeah, we'll go on for the policymakers. Yeah, to create the good pond, nice pond for big fish, small fish, and the newborn fish. Yeah. So, the Director General, yeah, please.
Very early good afternoon. So, I really appreciate for our colleagues. They just mentioned this difficulty is a reality. So how to solve this problem? So before I made the presentation is two parts. One is very difficulty in SME in the Myanmar. Another one is policy making. So now I think I cannot explain about this SME difficulty. So they are already discussed. So this maybe new technology, maybe it's digital or maybe we can call some many things. So this is a very effective for our lifestyle. So lifestyle also, the benefit also, another one is making money, very easy to making money. That's also be very, very useful. So this time we are thinking, which sector will be the promote fastest? So which priority is will be the first? So because if we didn't have a conventional system, so this time we cannot live. How to live? So this also be very helpful for our policy makers. So just like maybe we can see here the technology or maybe something so we write down there. The efficiency will be grown as so this time lower down the decreasing the cost. So we can make some many things. And that's maybe very less people also work in there. So just like maybe he mentioned about this 10 or 20 SMEs or better, digital age. So 10 or 20 will be the very big one, will be the maybe, we don't know. So what is this effort, what is this benefit from the digital age? So we don't know. So this also is very, very good point for the new era. So better, our point of view, so and this here I shows agricultural farming, so no farming, so manufacturing sector, trade and service and digital factory. So just like the food sector. So and just roughly, so I mentioned about this. Before is a conventional system. This means a lot of job to do. So very hard working in there. Salary is very low, maybe something like this. Oh, digital is a high level. So they cannot see. Transition, so you cannot see the cash. So just like the digital only. So that's totally different. That's our point of view. So how to protect for our farmer? How to protect for conventional way to the, for example, cement factory or something like this. So we need the construction material. How to protect? How to create it? Their environment will be survived. So if money making is very easy, so just like follow up there, everybody going there, so just cannot be. So one of the examples is before 3 years ago, we have a program for the farmer. So we just changed to the industrialization. So this time we are making the free test for the agricultural machinery and tools. So this has many machinery coming in the country. So in the meanwhile, so many people is jobless. So because they depend on the desk fund, but they substitute in the machine. So as unfortunately, so this idea is very good because the weather is now very chilly, climate also very chilly. So climate change is the right thing. So they just harvest very fastly. So they don't want to wait for time or something like that. This also have a benefit, but also have a jobless. So how to create this jobless? So though temporary we can take care. How to take care? So I guess the developed country have some other program or something, but the developing country is very difficult to handle this employment. So we also that's also including for thinking. So I think that maybe this way is we know that 1, 2, 3, 4 step is our government's responsibility. So we know this very difficult for the developing country. So because now the infrastructure means a lot of things. So we should provide the waters and maybe electricity, road, everything will be there. So how to handle this? So if government rich, we can handle it. If not, very difficult. So another one thing is education. Now our state councillor is very careful to education. Now this digital is also very important for the education. I would like to highlight about this. Because if we are chained there, so if we didn't have an educated, it's will fail. Business time will be there, maybe somewhere they will be stuck. So if not, so we should educate our people more and more. So I think maybe based on the practical is better. So of course our country based on the academic line. So this is also be a little difficult because the school to work program, so there is no school to work program. So younger generation is come out, but they are not very attached to their work, very strange. So they cannot be reliable for work. So now we are also trying to making the program, school to work program or something like this. So we do a lot in the country, but not enough, minimum requirements only. So another one thing is the streamline policy. This also very important. So one, my colleagues in Myanmar asked me, why is the lazy very delayed for policy? So about 3 years ago, I noticed about this. Testing is very important for the developing country. So that's why I made the testing policy. And testing policy is 1 year. We are making the draft or maybe something like that. So, but our people also need some skill. So another one is the parliament also. So now this way is we are making the policy, and then we are go to the ministerial office, and then go to the cabinet and go to the parliament. Oh, very long way. So the one policy is I think that maybe 1.5 years. So very long time. So we waiting. So we also try our best. This is our situation, and not in the Thailand. Thailand will be the past. So we also willing to check. So this check is very important. So we need to check how to check. So we need to organize everybody inclusive there. So maybe small place, big place, everybody will be the survivor there is better. So that's why I advise so my colleagues, please don't wait the policy. Please start up very small scale, and that's it. You can show our government. This will be pilot plans, or maybe standardization, or maybe we can refine it, so we can make more easier and more faster. So I advise you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonny Yang, for your view and information. Yeah, for the last but not least, our next panelist, as the fellow host of countries, yeah, I would like to invite you for the to give us some view and experience. Yeah, please, Excellencies.
Well, thank you very much. Before I am going to discuss what I would like to discuss, I would like to summarize the challenges or the requirement that the private sectors has already been done. Kun Moshi is talking about the government should provide the better infrastructure, especially for the specific case of the internet access, right? And Kun Vitawin is talking about the the same thing, right? And also, you would like the government to provide the support in terms of provision of the education or knowledge for the people to know how to do business. For example, Kun Kai is talking about how to expand the market because your business might not be, I would say that, might not be fit in just only one country, but if you can expand regional wise, it would be better, right? And Miss Yen, she triggered me out that one of my hypotheses when I was at the South Asian of Thailand and did a lot of program to help promote the SME and startup. My hypothesis is that in fact startup does not really need funding because fund is everywhere. I would say that, but how to access? You have to be good enough to access. According to my study, I found that in Thailand only, I did the investigation that the ready fund to be invested in startup and SME is as huge as 30 billion baht, but not even as high as 10% of it would be mobilized to the SME and startup because every investor would like to success in that investment rather than put their money out and take nothing back, right? That's my summarization, and I will respond one by one later. However, I would like to convey my message like this. If we talk about the SME and startup, in Thailand, if you say that this is the startup and at the same time, this startup is a SME, I don't think that they will agree because they would like to differentiate between startup and SME. SME, according to my feeling and according to my knowledge, I feel that they are not new one, but they can do their business with the traditional demand or conventional methodology, while startup, they are the new species of the business and they could add very, very high value if they are successful in building business, okay? So by this differentiation, I try to think about our problems in economy. There are at least two problems. The first one, how could we grow our economy with sustainability, okay? And the second one, the inequality, economic inequality. So I think the promotion of the SME and startup could provide a solution for both. Because if we can promote SME we have to accept, like our Mr. Moderator said earlier, that there are a very big number of the SME everywhere in the world. So if those SME can do business successfully, we can reduce the economic inequality eventually. So this is SME must be promoted. However, even though in Thailand we were talking about the startup for quite a long time, but that's for the future because we could not be in this middle income trap any longer. By promotion of the startup, we would like to jump up to increase the value addition to our economy. That's why we try very hard. Director General Kim Chun-ok can witness me. Our ministries in this government are trying hard to promote both SME and startup. A lot of budget is allocated to promote. A lot of programs to be set up to promote both startup and SME. So please don't mind if you are startup, you are SME, and we are promoting both of you. Please understand us. To respond to each, I would like to tell you that last night I have just been back from Hong Kong. I visited Cyberport at Hong Kong. Everybody in the startup environment knows Cyberport very well. They are the incubator. They are very famous in terms of incubating. Dr. Chan, who is the Chief Public Mission Officer, told me yesterday, only the keyword to promote startup is ecosystem. How could we complete the ecosystem? You may say that fund is not needed for the startup. I agree I should say that I agree partially, but not that all, because investor can invest in the startup, but only for the potential startup that can be successful according to their experience. But if we let them do that naturally, we will never have the better initiative from the startup who, like the Facebook, like the Google. No one knows at the very beginning that Google and Facebook could become the largest companies in the world like this, right? So we need to have some investment in those seed stage. That we lack here in Thailand. I don't know the other ecosystem, but here in Thailand, we lack that seed investment. I try to think about this idea, and I try to think about the government agency, whether we can do that. I answer myself, no, it's impossible for us to do so, because if we do so, what will happen to us after my retirement? I might be put into jail, because after the investigation, the investigators will not compromise. Even though we ask them to investigate or to measure us in terms of the portfolio investment, rather than to assess each particular project, they said no. If this asset is invested in the company, the expectation is success, not unsuccess. So even though we try to show the statistics that if we invest in the seed stage, and the world statistics show that around 2 to 5% are the successful case, and the rest fail, right? So if we invest in that seed stage by the government agency, they do not look at that 2 or 5% of the success, but they will investigate the rest, 98 or 95%, and for sure that after my retirement, you have to visit me in the jail. Of course. And I think, again, Director General Kim Chun-ok can witness me. So that's why we have to be careful, we have to be prudent. Otherwise, everybody will be in trouble. However, we do not give up. After the visiting at the Cyberport, I think that we have to set up another type of organization that is not the government agencies to do that, to do that function, to be able to invest in the seed stage, and they can fail, they can be success. Okay, that's our idea right now. So in the near future, we will set up such organization to help invest in the rare case that could be supported. Okay, and tie up with another initiatives of this government right now is the EEC. It's an economic corridor located in right now the three provinces, Chacheongseao, Chonburi, and Rayong. Those EEC is now governed by another special act we call in brief the EEC Act that provide a lot of privilege rather than the normal privilege. So the incubating program, the incubating agencies, the new one would be set up in the EEC to enjoy that special privilege rather than the regular or the ordinary privilege that offer in the ordinary scheme right now. But it doesn't mean that we will not be careful in investment. We have to be careful, but might be easier to do the function and keep the pace with the growing fast pace of the startup. Before we come to this panel, we have a lot of discussion. The mindset of the government or the public sector and the private sector are quite different. Because in private sector, you have to be very, very fast. Even though in the government sector, we would like to be fast. But if we are too fast, we might fail. That's why we have to compromise to each other. And I use a word that we discussed in the room before we come to this stage, that we have to readjust ourselves, each other, private sector and the public sectors, to talk in the same language. I think Ms. Nguyen says that we should have the forum to discuss together frequently, right? To learn each other. I totally agree with your idea. And to respond each, to improve the infrastructure, according to my knowledge, right now at the Ministry of Finance, they are planning to provide a program of the almost free internet access to who hold the state welfare card first. But the detail of that must be done properly. Otherwise, it would be argued in the negative way that we again do the populism policy rather than trying to promote the digital infrastructure. Okay, so in the near future in Thailand, I'm quite sure that this digital infrastructure, especially the internet access, would be much better than current stage. And to respond to between, I think there are a lot of incubating programs. A lot of government agencies and also the quasi-government agencies offer a lot of incubating programs. And not just only government agencies and quasi-government agencies, but also the private sector offer a lot of incubating programs. But according to my experience, once again, I feel that incubating program should focus more on how to do business rather than just focus on the how to foster the initiatives or to how to foster the creativity. Because according again to the statistics, a lot of startups do not know exactly what to do business. According to my experience, I was the investment committee at the private equity set up by the government saving bank. When the fund manager put up the cases for us to consider, one of my questions is what is the business model they fail to answer. So if they do not know how to do business, they do not know how to generate the income properly. Even though they are talking about the traction, they are talking about how to expand the market, but they do not know how to control the cost. They do not know how to do the projection of their budget. I think if they do not know how to do such things, they fail at the first day. So according to my opinions, I feel that the incubating program, all the incubating programs should incorporate how to do business properly in their programs. I think I spent a lot of time. However, I would like to respond to the potential question that Mr. Moderator put on. My recommendation is we are in the same sub-region, ACME, CLMVT, you can call whatever. But if we talk about this region, we are talking about 240 million in terms of population, rather than we are talking about just only 67 million people in Thailand, rather than talking about only 90 million in Vietnam. But we are talking about the huge market. Even though some of you may feel that, oh, let's do the business locally rather than expand regionally, but I still feel that if you think big, you will be bigger and bigger. But if you think small at the first time, you will be limited at the small point. So my recommendation, and this is the result that I consulted with the Office of SME Promotion yesterday, whether they could be able to set up the dialogue or the forum frequently to gather the quasi-government agencies and private sector rather than the government agencies. Because if you have the government agency, you will have to accept the bureaucracy. But if you deal with just only the quasi-government agencies and the private sector, it will be much faster. So that's why I asked OSME or SME Office of SME Promotion to be the center to initiate this idea, and the director of that OSME accept to do so. So if you do agree with this, after this discussion, I would like to talk in more detail to set up such dialogue to benefit all of us, not just only Thailand for sure, but we would like to grow together rather than to grow only one country, because that's not strong enough. But if we do it regionally, I think we are stronger and stronger. That's only my recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, I quite agree with your idea in the talking about the mechanism, lending mechanism for the startups, and of course it's not the responsibility for the government to provide the lending, right? Yeah, please.
I forgot to say something about the funding. For the startup, I think it's impossible for them to think about the debt financing. It's impossible. So only the grant or equity investment is possible. And I think the grant is more important rather than equity investment at the first time. So the setting up the new idea about the agency that we are going to have in the EEC, we are thinking about how to set up the fund to award a grant to the new startup. But for the SME, it's another story. According to my experience, once again, it's very hard for us to find an SME who would like us to invest in terms of equity financing, because they feel that they are successful, they do not want to share the profit. They do not want to share the success. So they would seek for only the debt financing. We have a lot of programs at the SME Development Bank set up to provide such debt financing. But unfortunately, this is the support just only for the Thai SME. I'm sorry to say that. However, talking with the OSMEC, I think we might think about the larger scale to provide such funding accessibility to our CLMVT.
Great, thank you very much. So it's a good opportunity for the Thai SME and startups to hear this new initiative about the lending mechanism and the grant that provided by the government. Of course, we have to support the SME and startup together, because the startup will be one of the good channel for us for CLMVT to take off together. With the interest of time, I would like to have like about 10 minutes for the discussion. So the first question from the lady over there. Yes, and yes, and Kuntirat, the gentleman on the back, and the third question should be the last question from gentleman here in the middle. Yes, please.
Hello.
Okay.
My name is Phương from Vietnam. I just want to ask three things because I also heard question from the lady over there concerning the definition of startup and also SME. I would like to share experience. I think nowadays when we're talking about e-commerce and also new technologies, there is no definition of SME and also startup. When we think of startup, we think also new things, but also to renovate your existing things. So I think if you want to distinguish the support from the government and also from other organizations to support SME and startup, I think it's not a good approach, because everything should be balanced. When you think that there should be a distinguish between SME and startup, you might not already limited your capacity. Tomorrow you might be a startup, and today you are SME, tomorrow you are a startup. And for the second thing, I think, for the startup, from my experience, we don't need any funding, but what we need from the government is information. Let's say an example. When we start a startup in Germany, when England, they exit EU, and you know that on the newspaper, the government and also many institutions, economic institutions, they provide the market all kind of information, all the opportunities, like people, the foreigner come from other countries to Germany, and the German market is also limited for the foreigner. So this means there is a demand of real estate. So this is the information of which some people sitting in Vietnam and even in Laos can approach the market. However, when recently we heard about the trade war between China and US, I tried to read newspaper in different countries. However, I only see the negative information, like some negative effect of the currency, like institutional risk, but not many information of opportunities, like what could the Chinese market can get from our regions, for instance, some information like this. And I think this is the kind the government should focus on to create the demand. So I don't think the SME or even startup will like funding, because when we talk about the funding, financing, there are many things, many risks. Okay, then also investor asks too many, and when you ask, so it means you damage your creation already. So no more funding, but information. As the last thing, I think when I heard about the big fish and small fish, I think it's just because of our cultural difference. As my experience, I think when we work in the Asian countries, we always think of competitions, but not corporations. So from my experience, I think when we start a startup or even SME, we think, okay, today I'm a small fish, tomorrow I'm a big fish, and we try to kind of to push ourselves, not to create it, but when we start to think globally, we talk about the technology. For instance, we work with European countries. We think of corporations. So we come to B2B market instead of B2C in Asia. Because in European, we always think of corporations. I'm small fish, but they don't treat me as a small fish. They treat me as a partner. So there is no distinction or difference between small fish and big fish. So I better think that we should not think the concept of big fish and small fish when we think globally. Because when we start up or when we talk about the e-commerce and technologies, there is the world now is right. So please don't think of big fish or small fish or fast fish or slow fish, please. And also don't try to differentiate your SME or startup. Just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
What I asked was whether they need the same kind of incentive as
Thank you, thank you. Yeah. คุณธิรัตน์ครับ So we will collect another two questions and then we have a response from our panelists.
So I'm Tirashun Lekadakun. First of all, thank you for the wonderful presentation and sharing meaningful experience. My question would be addressed to the Minister of Industry. Regarding to the local consumption, we realize that in Asia we've been repeating many times that we are small. And the lady said that size doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is that firstly, you see that for the local consumption, the quality of the local consumption. Firstly, you see when we export food and agriculture to overseas market, a very high standard for food safety. But when it comes to the local consumption, the quality is not comparable. It's not quite there. Secondly, for the foreign direct investment, you see that they get a very good privilege. Like Alibaba want to invest in Thailand, they get tax free. Comparing to the SME, the startup, I think the competition is not quite in the right match. And thirdly, to support the local consumption and local production, we'll see some experience like a lot of buses and a lot of train has been imported, in which we found that the local producer are much better, even though they might be more expensive, but to allow them to learn and to improve would be a learning curve. But actually they are even more competitive. Then we like to see whether how possible for the government, for the policy maker to support local consumption in the more measurable manner.
Thank you very much, Kap. The gentleman in the middle.
Good day, everyone. Your Excellencies, the panelists and moderators, and honorable all the invited guests, press media, and also the audiences. My name is Muhammad Rizky Nugrawanegara from Presiden University Indonesia. At this moment, I'm not speaking as the Indonesians. Instead, I'm speaking as the youth of Asians. So, at this moment, I would like to share first the fact that I'm not quite sure about the proportion specific of population of CLMVT. However, according to the CLMVT website, there is 238 million of combined populations. But for Asians, according to WEF, the 10 countries of Asia together represent the fastest growing internet populations in the world. And the number of people with internet access is growing by 124,000 people. And in conclusion, as digital connectivity arises, it requires a lot of huge transformations, including the job, opportunities, skills, experience, and we have to highlight the young generations, the youth itself, because as the young generation, we need to be a part and participate in this kind of moments. And as we know that CLMVT would like to become the Asian youth growth engines. And according to my analysis as the student capacity, and after hearing some discussion and research from the panelists, we can conclude one of the way to become Asian youth growth is producing more SMEs and startup business. And I got 2 points, which are first the platforms and the actors. Which the platform is the technology. Therefore, we know that technology is the promising business. We know that we use the internet consumptions. We use the internet usage as the ASEAN is one of the fastest growing in internet usage. And therefore, we require digital transformations. Meanwhile, for the actors, which is the youth, we know that youth is one of the part of the citizens, and we need to be a part of this kind of movement to boost the economy. And as we know that, the barrier of youth, first, it could be the financing of this SME. The second will be the facilitation for the youth. The third, the gender gap. Fourth, the mindset and the mental of the youth for the entrepreneurial spirit. And the characteristic of millennial generations, because gender X and Y. And in order to connect this kind of 2 points, 2 sphere, we need to integrate them into one point, which is boosting the SME in order to boosting the CLMVT economy. Therefore, I would like to ask the questions. First, what other government policy is being introduced to enable young generation of youth using digital as the platforms? The second one will be how the government could enhance the entrepreneurial spirit within youth, as well as introduce them into market access in CLMVT. As we know that in previous discussion, we hear about the market access for youth and facilitation from the government to the youth in order to access into the market in CLMVT. And last but not least, how we could change the minds of youth to be more aware to the importance as the youth entrepreneur in enhancing the CLMVT economy by becoming the part of SME or the youth entrepreneurs. I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all of your 3 questions. I thought that one person should come with 1 question. Yes, the gentleman in the front. You want to ask the question? Are you okay? Okay, please.
No, very briefly, I see an opportunity in this panel, and just to be very, very practical. Clean Bodia, a product. We haven't seen a product yet, but you should show us the bag. I'm curious to see what they look like. But you mentioned 2 problems. Number 1 is consumer behavior. You have to change the behavior. Number 2, the cost is the better product for the environment and for society, but it's more expensive. So how do you address a very great product with 2 problems? Now, we have on this panel the solution and a great opportunity, I believe. 2 policymakers here, Thailand and Myanmar. You can introduce a new policy, for example, a tax on plastic bags. So make the plastic bag same price as cassava bags. So there is no distinction. Then maybe use some of that money to subsidize cassava to make it more competitive. That should change your consumer behavior, no? Everyone agree? Then, simple collaboration between the panel here. 100,000 SMEs in Laos can be given incentive to use cassava bags instead of plastic. Maybe grab, instead of sending your food in your ecosystem, maybe you can use the cassava bags instead of plastic bags for delivering food. And of course, deliveries from stationery shops and through your logistic company, maybe you can give them incentive to use a cassava instead of plastic. And this should generate more volume. More volume should bring the cost down of cassava bags to make them more competitive in the market. You then don't need the subsidy anymore. But by scaling clean Bodia maybe into clean CLMVT, could be a good opportunity. What do you think?
Great, thank you very much. Yeah, so I would like to give the floor to our panelists to respond to the question and the suggestion. I would like to start with Mr. Vice Minister first.
Now, hello, can you hear me? I feel that right now I become the defendant. Okay, to respond the first one, yes, I have to accept that according to the perception of the people when we have such Alibaba in our country, that we provide too much benefit to them. But I could say that it doesn't mean that they will have that benefit automatically. They have to do something that benefit to us in reverse. So by such very big corporates, and according to the scheme of the EEC, we would like them to invest in the special economic zone like the EEC, and that opportunity is open widely to anyone who would like to come to the EEC, and if they can provide such benefit to other countries, they can get the same privilege. Okay, it doesn't limit only the very big corporates, but we have to accept at the first stage that it's very difficult to have the SME to invest such a very huge project. But now, not just at the Ministry of Industry, but every ministry is working on how to help the SME enjoy such privilege at the same time. This might not be the commitment, but I could say that it's our effort to do so. Please believe me that we do not forget the SME, and we would not forget our Thai people, and we will not prefer the others rather than our people. In terms of our people, I don't mean just only Thai people, but I would say our neighboring countries at the same time, because according to our philosophy, we would go together regionally rather than one country. Okay, this might be a kind of the answer like the politicians does, but I would say that I'm not the professional politician, and I'm not the politician, at least at this time, at this moment. You talk about the consumers in Thailand to get lower standard rather than the export products, right? At the same thing, we do a lot of things that show our concern about these concerns. For example, around last month or last 2 months, a lot of toxication issues are widely known in terms of the industrial management. We felt that we were on fire. So every government agencies react to that argument very, what should I say? Very in hot seat, I would say that. So not just only the Ministry of Industry, but the other government agencies like the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Commerce, we are all together to react to that response. But please perceive yourself as the whistleblower to us. I again have to accept that even though government seems to be a kind of a very big public network, but someday somehow we do not know everything promptly, immediately. We need the whistleblower, and if you act as a whistleblower, we will react properly. And a lot of monitoring process, a lot of counter argument could be done. So the transparency by this government, I think, should be acceptable. The youth, this is a very big issue again. Unfortunately, I'm not in the Ministry of Education, but I myself was the lecturer in the university. Again, this morning I just wrote down in my Facebook because there are a lot of arguments whether such some field like the economic will survive in the future. I myself feel that everybody, every academy could be survived if they react properly to the change, to the rapid growth of demand. And right now, we have to accept again that youth is very important. So the educational program should be redesigned, should be revisited to suit the need of the new generation. You list a lot of needs that you used to know. I do agree, and you might have heard the progress of the new establishment of the new ministry in Thailand, that we are going to have the Ministry of Education, Research, Science and Technology come together. That might imply that we would like to educate our young people to respond to the rapid change of this environment. I should respond like this. Okay.
Thank you very much, Excellencies. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and from the, I think we run behind the time, and I'm sure that I don't want to stand between you and lunch, and I will give a few 1 or 2 minutes for some panelists if you want to wrap up or something. You give up already? Yes, Kap.
I just want to because it's under my feeling that about SME and startups. In fact, the policy should come for the SME first, because SME is the 100,000 or 200,000 companies. It exists and make the economy. This is for Laos. Startup, you will have maybe 100, 200 companies. Startup in Laos, maybe less than 10%. But it needs to be two different, it should be the same strategy. In Thailand, you said that, the minister said that you have differentiate. But I think for Laos, we don't need to differentiate. It should be a same system, a same development system. This is for us. And that's why in the Laos National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have our SME center and the startup center at the same places.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that we don't have enough more time. However, I would like to give some keywords. All right. I think that the purpose of today's event is sharing the experience, the expectation, in order to make all SME and startup become stronger and stronger. So at the end of the day, if we want to become stronger and stronger, I believe we need to create more impact, more values for the country we are working for.
Thank you. Sky.
Sure. Thank you for your enthusiasm, sir. What we're doing, I think he wants me to hire him, maybe. Might have to consider that. But I think maybe to this bigger point of talking about how we have all the actors on stage for in mine in particular to expand and we can all help each other. The overarching theme for me is that these forums in this region is exactly what this is meant to do. It's to bring dialogue between not just necessarily SMEs and startups, but trade associations, governments, business, NGOs, all sorts of sectors. And it's important to keep that dialogue open, as we kind of touched on earlier, as we can understand where we're all coming from. And the more honest, open talks that we have together, the easier it is to see where we can help each other. So I think it's a really important thing to take away from this whole experience here, and something that I know personally think Bodhi will take away from and help promoting the whole region, and not just be focused on our local markets.
Between.
I think left to say. But as we are now, and as all of us can see from today, I'm sure we will be moving in a good way, even slow or even fast sometimes. But the whole region, our ecosystem, I'm sure it will become more prosper in the future as the way we are. I think that's all. Okay, thank you.
So for me, I think we want to do the ecosystem for the startup, for infrastructure, everything should be good.
Thank you, thank you very much. Yes, I'm not going to summarize anything, but the key point is the problem of access to finance and the infrastructure and also the human capacity is very important. And I agree that we should have the platform, and this is a good platform for the CLMVT to collaborate together and then extend our collaboration and strengthen our collaboration. It's good that one of the audience in the floor point out that we need to focus on the collaboration instead of competition so that we can take off together as the CLMVT. Thank you very much. I would like to give the applause to all the panelists. Vice Minister Santi, Dr. Sunyang, Mr. Udet, Ms. Nguyen Wan An, Mr. Kai Kunamoto, and Kun Vitwin, and also Kun Moshi. Thank you very much. Yeah, and it's time for lunch. Hopefully we don't have fish.
Okay, thank you very much.
I don't want to eat them anymore.
Okay, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, before you leave, I would like to give you some more information that next we are going to have a luncheon talk session. So all of you are invited. So please just join at the luncheon talk room, which is going to be on the left side of the registration desk. If you go to the registration desk, and then it's going to be on your left-hand side. And thank you very much once again. Right at the luncheon talk, we are going to talk about young entrepreneurs, chambers of commerce, and how future applications for local economy in CLMVT. So thank you very much once again. We hope you enjoyed this very fantastic and of course that amazing, brilliant seminar. So right now, thank you very, very much all the panelists and of course our moderator as our appreciation. Right on the stage, Director General Trade Policies and Strategy Office, Ministry of Commerce, Thailand, Ms. Kim Chanok Wongkhapon will be our representative to give our special gift to our panelists. Thank you very much, sir. It's very inside session that we have to think about it, and of course that we have to discuss more. Because SMEs and startups business is very huge business. This can drive economy not only in Thailand but also for all the countries within CLMVT. So right here, Ms. Kim Chanok going to give away the special gift to our panelists. Please remain on stage. เดี๋ยวขออนุญาตนะคะมอบของให้ได้เลยเนาะโอเค Thank you very much